Good evening. This is Lieutenant Shopland. I hope everybody is staying safe and coronavirus free. We all watched the first part of Paige's story, which took place in a campus environment. And now the second part makes the transition to an active duty environment on board a ship for Paige's first summer cruise. And in the following videos, we will see Paige continue to face challenges related to sexual harassment and sexual assault, and this time in a different environment. On your summer cruise, you are in an active duty status, and you are held to the same standard and subject to the same discipline as active duty sailors. Some of the language or behavior of college life or your NROTC unit is not appropriate in the environment of a ship. Just keep that in mind, and you may find it tough to work with both commissioned officers and enlisted sailors. As a midshipman, you are somewhere in the middle. During the course of this video, I'm going to stop at certain points to highlight key features, and throughout the video I want you to really take this to heart, because although the chances of you facing sexual harassment or sexual assault could be minimal, but just keep in mind that your fellow sailors and midshipmen might encounter unfortunate sexual harassment or sexual assaults, and with this knowledge you'll be able to better help them too. Without further ado, let's start the video.
Request permission to come aboard.
Permission to come aboard.
The best way I know how to describe it is your senses get kicked into high gear. The sound. The smell. It's interesting. It isn't bad, but it isn't good either. It's salt water, stale air, oil fumes, and paint all mixed together. But mostly it's the feel. There are many things on a ship that you can necessarily call soft. You know, it's hard. It's a huge machine made of steel that floats on the water as if it doesn't weigh anything at all. Hard, cold steel that's there to protect you, but can hurt you in a heartbeat if you don't respect it. Once you cross that brow, it's game on.
As a midshipman on second-class cruise, you are in an active duty status, and though you will not assume the duties or responsibilities of an officer, your conduct on and off the ship is expected to conform to the highest professional standards of the U.S. Navy. You may find that some of the language and behavior of college life or your NROTC unit are not appropriate in this environment. Keep in mind that the military environment is unlike anything you may be used to. You may find it difficult to orient yourself on summer cruise, working with both commissioned officers and enlisted sailors, because as a midshipman, you are somewhere in the middle.
So, my first morning quarters, it was intimidating. I didn't think Chief would ever notice me standing there. Morning, Chief. I'm Midshipman Mendez.
Yep, we've been expecting you. And you guys.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job staying out of the way.
Welcome to San Diego. This is the Engineering Oil Lab. MM2 Quigley. Midshipman Mendez, this is your sponsor while you're here. You'll be shadowing him.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
You have any questions, just ask MM2 Quigley. Okay, now, we don't have any other women in our division, so I'd prefer if you all stuck together. Understood?
Yes, Chief. At first, I wasn't really sure what Chief was talking about. I just kind of assumed that he didn't want me to get lost or something. But then throughout the day, I started to realize there were a lot of good-looking guys there. And they were kind of looking at me like I wasn't too bad looking either. I'm not gonna lie. It felt kind of awesome.
So Quigley's standing there, butt naked.
Buck naked, like a deer.
Like I said, butt naked, hovering over my bed. And finally, I realize he's still asleep. Like dead asleep.
Well, what'd you do?
What any good friend would do. We let him out of the showers and turned on the cold water.
Yeah, that was cold too, man.
Man, that was pretty obvious.
Why don't y'all get the hell out of here? Don't y'all have work to do or something like that? Yeah, whatever.
This page has a sense of humor.
Jeez. Yeah, okay, Stefan.
Bye.
Hey, look, can I be straight with you?
Shoot.
Let's investigate.
What do you mean?
They're seeing what they can get away with around you. That's why they were telling you that story and calling you by your first name. I mean, my division, as you can see, solid group of guys. You know, but some sailors, you give them an inch, and they'll take a mile, all right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. But, you really don't need to, like...
I mean, look, because I've seen it, all right? First it's dropping the title, then it's private messages and friend requests. And next thing you know, you got yourself an invitation back to the PPV for the weekend.
What's the PPV?
That doesn't matter. Look, the point is, you got to draw a clear line and make sure they know where it is, all right? Then after that, just be smart and don't put yourself in compromising places alone. You want to make the most out of your 4 weeks here? That's my advice.
Don't get me wrong. I appreciated everything he was telling me, but, it kind of felt like he was talking down to me. Like I couldn't walk around the ship alone. I didn't come here to be a prisoner. And I sure as hell didn't come here for someone to feel like they had to babysit me because I'm a girl. I don't want special treatment. I just want...
Paige meets MM2 Matt Quigley. He gives her advice about setting clear boundaries with the enlisted sailors, and he also urges her not to put herself into compromising situations alone. Paige feels like he's talking down to her. All she wants to do is learn how to do her job. Quigley's given Paige several warnings. If you were Paige, how would you respond? So from here, I'm going to select the answers that I believe most midshipmen would say. And I believe most would probably do something in the middle and say, cool, I'll think about it.
Cool. I'll think about it.
All right, cool. And look, I'm not trying to insinuate that you can't take care of yourself or something. All right, I know you're tough. Otherwise, you would not be here. All right, but boundaries are important. I cannot stress that enough, especially in tight quarters.
Got it. At first, I kind of said it just to be nice. But once I started to take it to heart and started correcting people by saying, I'm Midshipman Mendez, and keeping conversations about work and avoiding too many one-on-ones, their attitudes changed. Like, they started to realize that I was there to learn how to do my job, and I wasn't just there for summer vacation.
Well, why do I care? My sister, she, let me just say that she's had some first-hand experience with this sort of thing. I mean, she wasn't ROTC, and she was Army instead of Navy, but she enlisted, and she I just don't want anyone to have to go through what she went through, you know?
It's hard to feel like you're being singled out because of your gender. It's unfair to stereotype that women are always the victim that need to be protected, and that men are always in the wrong. While focusing on your duties as a midshipman, don't risk creating an unprofessional relationship. Set boundaries early on. Have you given any thought to professional boundaries? The fact that you're still a student? Or how about the fact that you're trying to figure out how to present yourself as an officer all the time? You need to recognize and follow good advice. And also identify and recognize how to set boundaries.
It felt really good to make it through my first day without any disasters. I was proud of myself. I was like, like, that did not take long. It made me think, oh, quickly. He was right. But the other side of me was thinking, it's pretty cool, you know? Like, they like, want to be my friend and, like, put me in their little group instead of treating me like an outsider.
So what'd the message say?
I have it right here. I could just read it to you. He said, hey, hope you don't mind me messaging you. I just want to say welcome. Let me know if you want me to show you around. Seemed pretty hard.
When Paige finds 3 friend requests, part of her thinks that Quigley was right. But part of her also thinks it's nice that they're treating her as a part of the group, rather than an outsider. She also receives a text message from Colin, who offers to show her around. She thinks the message and the requests are probably harmless. If you were Paige, what would you do? And I would think that you would ignore the friend requests and message Colin back. Keep it short, say thanks.
He's being really nice, but I'm worried I just opened a can of worms.
And if you were Paige, how would you respond? I would say probably don't be rude.
He seems nice,
respond.
but I hope he's not reading too much into this.
Is this the kind of interaction on social media considered fraternization? What do you think? Developing camaraderie with enlisted sailors is natural and creates a foundation of trust. However, it is important that you, as a future naval officer, preserve the line between appropriate and inappropriate behaviors. Keeping conversations professional and focusing on learning your job reduces your chance of entering overly familiar situations. Paige opted not to accept the friend request, but replied with a short professional message and continued to respond. Continuing to respond to a private message may blur the professional boundary you are trying to create. In addition, providing access to your social media may undermine a professional relationship. It is important to ask yourself if the content of your social media posts, photos, and videos are aligned with the professional standards expected of a future naval officer. The definition of fraternization is defined as any personal relationship between a mid and an officer or enlisted member which is unduly familiar and does not respect differences in rank, grade, resulting in favoritism, preferential treatment, personal gain, or involves actions that otherwise may reasonably be expected to undermine good order, discipline, authority, or high unit morale. Midshipmen and their running mates may go on liberty together, but should remain in groups so as to avoid a one-on-one situation. Again, should remain in groups so to avoid one-on-one situations. Social media, among other things, can hinder a midshipman from establishing boundaries, as said before. Midshipmen must be aware of professional identities and make sure social media is used in a responsible way. So, I know Facebook has a lot of privacy options. I would suggest that you make it as restrictive as possible so that other people cannot just go onto your Facebook and post and see your Facebook page. That's my personal opinion, and I highly recommend that you do that, especially prior to going to cruise.
The first week went by stupid fast. I mostly stuck with my division just because there was a lot to learn from them. But next week, I'm planning to venture out a little more and check out some of the other divisions. But first, we get Week in Liberty. Should be fun. There are 2 other female mids. One's ROTC, like me, and the other is from the academy. They both seem pretty cool, but they're like night and day different. Anyway, we've already been talking about renting a car for the weekend to drive up the coast. It should be really fun.
Are we still game to rent a car tomorrow?
Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, I don't think I can.
Why?
One of my cousins that I haven't seen in forever lives in LA, and she invited me up to stay with her and her husband this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. I would totally invite you guys, but I don't think their place is that big.
I thought we were gonna stay together during Liberty and watch out for each other and stuff.
Well, I don't think visiting family really counts with that.
Okay. Are you still game?
Well, I mean, I don't know now. Just I heard something about watching a movie over in some guy's apartment this weekend.
On base?
No, it's in the PPV. It's off base.
So that's what that is. Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, totally.
But what if they're like drinking and stuff? Doesn't that break the fraternization rules?
I mean, are we supposed to be shadowing them?
I don't think getting wasted with them at their apartments counts as professional development.
Oh, well, nobody said anything about getting wasted. Okay. Look, if you don't want to come with me, I'll just go alone.
Oh, don't you think going alone to hang out with a bunch of guys you barely know is
Well, then
basically...
come with me.
I sound like my grandma by saying this, but I feel like I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Paige planned to spend her first week in Liberty with 2 other midshipmen. Danielle ends up visiting family, while Ariana wants to go to an off-base apartment with one of the enlisted men to watch a movie and hang out. She invites Paige to go with her, but Paige is worried about fraternization. Ariana says she's happy to go by herself, but Paige thinks that going alone and hanging out with guys she barely knows is a bad idea. Ariana responds that Paige should come with her and watch her. Paige feels like she's damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. So if you were Paige, how would you handle the situation? And I believe everybody would try to convince her to stay there.
Sorry, dude. I'm not going. Just feels like you're playing with fire.
I think you're taking this way too seriously.
I'd just rather be safe than sorry.
Whatever, Grandma.
Ew. Whatever. What happened? Nothing. I stayed back at the ship and Ariana had a good time and nothing bad happened. I kind of regretted not going at first.
Hey, cutie.
But it wasn't until the next day when we were all at the mess deck that I worried about the consequences. Nothing bad happened, but I definitely feel like she lost some of their respect.
Historically, the Navy relies on customs and traditions to define the bounds of acceptable personal relationships among its members. Relationships that are too familiar are not only frowned upon, but are often prohibited. These relationships undermine unit cohesion and the respect for authority that is essential to the Navy's ability to accomplish its mission. Allowing professional standards and boundaries to slide in seemingly small ways like this may lead to much bigger problems. In this unique situation, what kind of social interactions are appropriate? Do you go as a group to a public place? A midshipman should not be somewhere alone with an enlisted sailor. And how can alcohol potentially change the risk associated with this situation? How about it impairs the judgment of everybody involved? It's important to know and recognize the situation that may enable fraternization. Know how to acknowledge the risks. More social freedom exists in a campus environment, but understanding the rules about fraternization in an active duty environment is critical.
On Monday of the 3rd week, we got some really cool news.
In 2 days, we'll be underway, headed to British Columbia for our training op at the Canadian Coast Guard. Now, we got a lot of work to do in the next couple days, so we gotta hustle.
Before the summer cruise, I never crossed the Mississippi River, much less left the country. I was so excited. The energy of the ship changed fast. It was like all of a sudden people were super invested instead of just going through the motions. And that first night, when everyone was on the ship, it just felt like there's something big about feeling the ship move on the water instead of just sitting on the port. It all just felt more alive. It also meant that everyone was on board all the time.
So we're gonna watch movie night. I'm trying to think of some Canadian in honor of our trip, like Fargo.
That's set in Minnesota, dude.
Oh.
You should just watch stand-up.
Wait, what's the legal drinking age in Canada? 18?
Nah, 19 in most parts.
19. We are legal in Canada. Mendez and I can legally get wasted together.
We'll see.
Okay, Grandma, no pressure. Hey, Soretsky. We're gonna watch a movie around 9. You should swing by.
Are all y'all gonna be there?
Oh, hey, have you met Paige?
Not in person.
I mean, Midshipman Mendez.
Midshipman Mendez. Nice to meet you.
Colin, nice to finally meet you. See you guys around 9.
I think Midshipman Mendez just blushed, ladies and gentlemen.
Shut up.
Randoman, please, man. No messed up rooms.
Worried you might be Catholic or something.
Okay, I'm gonna go to bed.
What's the deal, Paige? Did you guys set up some sort of pact against us? You're not helping my pockets here.
What are you talking about?
Wait, oh, guys, come on. I thought you weren't doing that this time.
Hey, no, man. We're good. We're good.
Quickly filled me in. Apparently, the guys were making bets. $20 gets you into the game, and whoever hooks up with the midshipman first wins all the cash.
At a movie night on board the ship, Ariana leaves when one of the enlisted sailors puts his hand on her back and waist. It's a line she doesn't want to cross. Paige finds out that there's a midshipman bet going on among the sailors. Whoever hooks up with the midshipman first wins that money. So in this situation, what do you want to do? I believe everybody would warn their friend.
Yeah, I told her. She honestly didn't seem too worried about it, but at least she has the information, so she can decide what she wants to do with it.
Paige opted to warn her friend, which is good advice. However, this situation is more serious than it may seem. This mindset, viewing human beings as trophies to be won, is part of a culture that trivializes and sometimes glorifies harmful language, attitudes, and behaviors. This situation is a form of sexual harassment and must not be tolerated. The Navy's definition of sexual harassment is a form of sex discrimination that involves unwelcome sexual advances. Submission to such conduct is made either explicitly or implicitly in terms or condition of a person's job, pay, or career. Such conduct has the purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with an individual's work. Such conduct creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Sexual harassment is prohibited. The Navy's definition of sexual assault is intentional sexual contact characterized by the use of force, threats, intimidation, or abuse of authority, or when the victim does not or cannot consent. As used in this instruction, the term includes a broad category of sexual offenses, consisting of a plethora of UCMJ offenses. SAPR policy says that this behavior is considered sexual harassment. Why do you think that? How is it sexual harassment? Well, for one thing, this conduct could interfere with a person's work performance. It also can potentially create an intimidating, hostile, or offensive working environment. Would you view this behavior any differently in an active duty environment than you would on campus? It contributes to a culture where people are objects to be won, and that's dangerous no matter what. The continuum of harm. Recall that the continuum of harm describes behaviors that, when left unaddressed, foster an environment where sexual harassment may lead to sexual assault. A RAND Corporation study found that 33% of sexual assault victims had previously experienced sexual harassment. So the continuum of harm starts from left to right. From the left, the actions are not as severe. Think of it as a stepping stone. From the left, you have sexual harassment, gender-focused jokes, sexual comments, and vulgar pictures. These will lead to more harmful behaviors, such as seductive behavior and inappropriate advances, and so on and so forth, leading to the pinching and touching, and all the way to the right leads to rape. The point of this is for you to discover that as a future naval officer, and for myself and staff as well, it's important that we cut off this continuum of harm all the way from the left, such as gender-focused jokes, sexual comments, and vulgar pictures. If us as leaders, and as you as leaders as well, if we can focus on stopping these behaviors, we can make the Navy a more healthy and productive work environment, so that we don't have sexual assault and sexual harassment in our Navy.
We pulled into port a few days later, and it was the weekend before I knew it. I had mixed feelings about going out, but both of my friends are going to be there this time, and Quigley will be there, so I feel like I have a safety net. Hey! We're leaving soon. Why aren't you dressed?
I'm not gonna go.
What? What's wrong? Where'd you get that?
Ensign Daniels.
The training coordinator?
Yeah. Apparently Chief found it when he was inspecting the berthing area. Brenneman had it. They all think that I gave it to him because apparently we've been spending too much time together. So I get this whole big lecture on fraternizing. I confronted Brenneman, and he said that I shouldn't take it personally, that girls should take it as a compliment. So then I asked him if it was more than just one, and he said, you and Paige are just SAPR traps. Like somehow it's our fault. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you.
Don't beat yourself up. It was tough to hear. It made me glad that I'd drawn that boundary early on. Well, I guess I'm gonna head out. You gonna be okay?
I'm fine. Thank you for telling me about the bet. I know I kind of just rolled my eyes at first, but yeah, I know I gotta take that seriously. So thanks.
I got your back, lady. Get some sleep. I felt bad about Ariana, but once Danielle and I got off the ship to head out, I got really excited. It's gonna be pretty cool. Going out and being legal. Early in the night, everyone had a great time. Well, almost everyone. Water?
Yeah, I'm the DD tonight.
I thought you guys took a gap.
I mean, we did, but, I guess I said DD because I didn't want to be called,
Papa Bear.
Yeah. Some of the guys were talking, and they're about to get a hotel room together. I mean, they're good here for a few hours, sure, but after a while, it's cheaper. They're going to want to drink there. That can just turn into a place where things can get out of hand if you're not careful.
Enough said. I'll be going back to the ship. From there, the night took a different turn. It started off with this drunk ass harassing us.
Hey, dude, give her some space.
I am. Don't get jealous.
I don't know how you put up with that.
Oh, well, you just kind of get used to it.
Seems like a really sad thing to have to get used to. Can I buy you a drink?
Sure. We talked for like 2 hours. It felt like we really had a connection, you know? What the
I'm sorry.
Oh my God!
Watch where you're going. You're drunk.
Well, we're not exactly sure for sure.
Speaks the truth. Do you want to get out of here?
I'm not doing the hotel thing tonight.
No.
Yeah.
Let me walk you back to the ship before things here get out of hand. No pressure.
So I had sort of made this agreement with myself not to go anywhere alone with a guy, just to avoid any potential bad situation. But at this point, I'm starting to feel less safe at the bar than I would alone with Sharatsky. And he's given me no reason to worry. He's starting to feel like a brother, like quickly. Well, maybe not like a brother, because I kind of really want to kiss him. Anyway, my point is, it wasn't an easy call to make.
A group from the ship goes out to a bar. Paige and Colin spend some time together, drinking and having good conversation. As the night wears on, the bar gets increasingly rowdy, and Colin offers to walk Paige back to the ship. While she hadn't planned on being alone with a man from her division, she's not feeling as if the bar is all that safe either. So what would you do? I believe everybody would stay there with their group. However, let's see what happens if Paige lets him walk her back to the ship.
Sure. Let's get out of here. Ladies first. Thank you.
I kind of think that they're a little like deprived. Actually, yeah.
What are you talking about?
No, I don't. Do you want to ditch these guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You stay here.
Do you need a break?
No. I just need a second to catch my breath. I had no intentions of letting things go that far.
Don't be nervous. We're not gonna get caught.
Are you comfortable describing what happened?
Stop. Listen, I said stop. You. No. No.
What the Paige?
What the Saratsky?
Stop sending me mixed signals.
Me moving my hand and telling you to stop is not a mixed signal.
You let me buy you drinks all night, come back here alone, and all you want to do is make out like we're...
You said you wanted to walk me back to the ship. No pressure, remember?
Oh. Paige, I'm sorry.
Don't touch me. I just thought I could trust him, you know?
What happened after that?
I called Quigley, and I told him what happened, and he came back. And that's when you guys found me.
You okay?
Yeah, it just like happened. It just changed really fast. I still don't know what happened. Thanks for coming over so quick.
Yes, it's no problem. I mean, you want me to call one of the other girls?
They're still
or...
out drinking.
Paige, you know you can talk to me.
Yeah, I know. I just need a minute to, like, process this. It's not like I'm gonna file a formal report or anything. It's not like he assaulted me.
Paige, yes, he did.
Well, we didn't have sex.
I mean, that doesn't matter. I mean, he still forced you to do something you didn't want to do.
Was I assaulted?
Quigley and Paige continue to talk. Paige is reluctant to say anything because she doesn't want to mess up, specifically Sorotsky's career. Quigley asks her what she wants to do. And if you were Paige, do you think you would consider this sexual assault? Yes. You're right, because Sorotsky's forcible contact after Paige clearly said stop is sexual assault. It doesn't matter that Paige left the group. It doesn't matter that she shouldn't have been alone with Sorotsky. It doesn't matter that Paige willingly kissed Sorotsky in the beginning. None of that is an excuse for Sorotsky's actions. No means no at any point. The actions by both parties leading up to this point have no bearing on the ability to stop the behavior at any time. We already discussed what sexual assault is. It's okay to extend a level of trust when meeting new people, but make sure to look out for yourself. Here are some safety guidelines to follow. Maintain situational awareness, travel in groups. Create a plan and stick with it. If you drink, drink responsibly. Do not leave a drink unattended. And educate yourself about drugs used to facilitate sexual assault. It's best to avoid going anywhere alone unless you know and trust them. Even then, be aware of your surroundings.
Look, I'm sorry I didn't get here sooner. It's just that I thought Sorotsky was a good guy. You know?
He is a good guy. That's what sucks. He just got drunk and he got aggressive when he didn't mean to.
Paige, that's no excuse.
I know it's not, but I don't like f up his career, you know? He's not like some asshole. He has a family who's like proud of him and stuff.
So what do you want to do?
I'm not sure.
So if you were Paige, what would you do? So in this part, it's going to have me go through all the options. So I'll go with the last one. Nothing for now. Take time to think about it.
I just kept hoping that it would just all go away. Like, the lie I kept telling myself was that it wasn't a big deal because it wasn't an assault that ended in rape. But it hit me more emotionally than I thought. I was scared to walk around the ship alone, and I kept looking over my shoulder like it was going to happen again. I have no idea what happened to Sorotsky. What he's up to, or if he felt sorry, and if the chain of command even knew that this kind of stuff was happening. But later during the semester, I went into the Title IX office and just to talk to somebody, and it helped a lot.
There are a number of reasons why victims of sexual assault do not report. Fear of reprisal, fear they won't be believed, self-blame, shame, fear of consequences, even concern for well-being of the offender. Unfortunately, in doing nothing, victims are often internalize the traumatic event and don't get help that they need to cope with the emotional aftermath. Each situation and victim is different, and not every victim will or should have the same reaction. A victim's response and choice of action will vary. talk to a victim advocate.
I spoke to a victim advocate, and they gave me some really good advice about how to deal with it. And at first I thought I was making a big deal out of nothing, but I started to get scared a couple of times when I saw him during the last week of the summer cruise, and I kept looking back over my shoulder. So I decided to file a restricted report. I still have mixed feelings about it. And the chain of command was notified that something happened. They don't know any names or specifics, but hopefully they say something that people like Saratsky would take to heart next time.
Now it discusses restricted reporting. Restricted reporting allows the sexual assault victim who are in an active duty status to confidentially disclose details of their assault to specific identified personnel without triggering an investigation. I'm going to stop reading here because we're going to choose the restricted reporting option, which will go into this detail again. File a restricted report.
I didn't want to deal with the whole investigation and stuff, so I filed a restricted report. And the chain of command was notified that something happened, but they don't know any names and they don't know any specifics. Hopefully they say something that people like Saratsky will take to heart next time. And I got linked up with a victim advocate, and that's helping a lot.
In order to keep a restricted report restricted, a victim can notify the following personnel who maintain confidentiality: the victim advocate, the SARC, healthcare personnel, deployed resiliency counselor. Also, communication with chaplains and victims' legal counsel is confidential. Keep in mind that they are unable to file sexual assault reports, restricted or unrestricted. They can, however, assist you, the victim, with making the report through the SAPR program. Here are some more benefits and limitations of restricted reporting. Benefits: appropriate medical treatment. You're able to receive appropriate medical treatment. A healthcare provider is available to conduct a sexual assault forensics examination. Provide some personal space. The ability to learn about criminal investigations without launching one. You have the ability to change from a restricted to an unrestricted report at a later time. The decision whether to and when change to an unrestricted report lies with the victim. Here are some limitations. The alleged offender will not be held accountable. Victims are unable to receive a military protection order, which is like a restraining order. Victims may have unwanted continued contact with their alleged offender, and crime scene evidence degrades over time. The biggest points to mention is that if you file a restricted, you can change it to an unrestricted report at a later time. However, keep in mind that you're unable to receive a military protective order. Finally, file an unrestricted
I barely
report.
knew what NCIS stood for before I filed that report. The military takes this stuff seriously. They launched a whole investigation, and it turns out Saratsky didn't get kicked out, but he did get demoted, and everyone knew about it. Rumors spread fast on the ship. The most helpful thing was being assigned a victim advocate. They gave me so much good advice. I'm still seeing a counselor at the Title IX office on campus, and it's helping a lot.
Unrestricted reporting allows victims who desire medical treatment, counseling, and an official investigation of the allegation to report the incident to any of the following: the VA, the SARC, healthcare personnel, the DRC, your chain of command, law enforcement, NCIS. An unrestricted report of sexual assault may be made by the victim or a witness to the chain of command, NCIS, or any of the entities that may take restricted reports. An unrestricted report, whether made by the victim or a witness, will launch an investigation. Here are some benefits and limitations. A victim advocate is assigned to assist the victim throughout the process. Another benefit is appropriate medical treatment will be provided. A healthcare provider is available to conduct a forensic examination. The military protective order is now available, and then a victim can choose their own involvement in the investigation. And limitations are as follows. An unrestricted report cannot become a restricted report. Among personnel with legitimate need to know, victims' anonymity and privacy will be diminished. Re-victimization may occur. So keep in mind the similarities between a restricted and unrestricted. You're still going to be able to receive medical treatment. The biggest differences, though, is with an unrestricted report, you're able to receive that restraining order, that MPO. However, just keep in mind, though, that an unrestricted report cannot become a restricted report. There's no turning back. And re-victimization may occur as victims are asked to retell their account.
Do you have a message for other victims of sexual assault?
A message? Well, I guess you don't have to do this alone. Sexual assault is about power. And it makes you feel like you don't have power. But you do. And you have options. And you're strong. And it's not your fault. I'm done.
There is no right or wrong answer for victims in response to a sexual assault. Diverse resources exist. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault, consider seeking help.
The best way I know how to describe it is the stakes of everything you do get kicked into high gear. Everything has a consequence. Some good, some bad. Little choices add up to be bigger than you ever thought. A ship could be a cold, hard place. It can also be a place filled with good people. It was game on for me as soon as I crossed that brow. But when I left, it didn't suddenly go away. I am a future naval officer. Underway, abroad, at home, at school. It's not just a uniform I put on once a week. It's who I am.
This training contained two components, prevention and response. Preventing sexual assault starts with everybody. Don't tolerate inappropriate behaviors. Intervene when you witness unacceptable behavior. Stand up for each other. And do your part. Responding to incidents of sexual assault is just as important. Know the options and resources available to you, the victim, and also for your future sailors. Understand that victim responses to sexual assault may vary. As a midshipman, you are transitioning from civilian life to active duty. Student to officer, and follower to leader. The welfare of your fellow students, units, sailors are shaped by your commitment to professionalism. And that's it. With that, I want you to take the lessons that you learned to heart. I want you to have fun on your midshipman cruise. Hopefully they are allowing midshipman cruise to happen at this point. I still don't know what the status of the midshipman cruise is, but if you are able to go, it's a remarkable and fun time. I want everybody to have fun and learn and enjoy everything that the Navy has to offer. But all at the same time, I just want you and ask you to protect yourself and protect the sailors too. As always, if you have questions, reach out to your advisors or me or Mr. Gibbons, the SAPR point of contact. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's why we're here. All right, have a nice day and stay safe.